Welcome back to Nginx Mastery, Lesson 5. In Lesson 4, you wrote a single location block for the root path, and that worked fine. But real sites route many paths, an API to a backend, static assets with long cachy headers, an admin area behind auth. So today we tackle multiple locations and the 5 operators Nginx uses to decide which one wins. 3 operators: predictable precedence, routing stops being magic. Here's the map for the next 20 minutes. 4 ideas. First, the 3 operators, exact, prefix, and regex, each doing exactly one job. Second, the precedence ladder that decides which one wins when several could match. Third, try files, the single line behind every SPA, every WordPress install, every static site you've ever deployed. And fourth, what actually belongs inside a location block, which sets us up for lessons 6 and 8. Pick the right operator, and you're already 80% of the way there. This is the ladder that ends the guesswork. 5 rules, checked top to bottom. First match wins. No backtracking, no scoring, no ambiguity. Equals beats caret tilde, which beats regex, which beats a plain prefix. And that bottom rung, the longest prefix match, is what quietly handles most of your traffic. The other 4 exist for the special cases: a health check, a static directory, a PHP handler, an image rule. Memorize this order, and Nginx routing stops being magic. Let's start at the bottom of that ladder and work up. A plain prefix like location API catches everything underneath it. API users, API posts, 42, API itself, but not APIs, and not v2 API. That's your everyday workhorse. Exact match with the equals sign is the opposite. Location, biasor, health check, matches that one URI and nothing else. No trailing slash, no query variants, nothing. Use it for your hottest single endpoints, load balancer probes, favicon, because it short-circuits the whole precedence check and wins immediately. Now climb up to operators 3 and 4, the regex matchers. Tilde is case-sensitive, tilde star is case-insensitive, and both match by pattern anywhere in the URI. So npeachpatiets routes anything ending in PHP to your fast CGI socket, while on JPG ping web AF catches image extensions regardless of case. Logo. PNG works the same as logo.png. You also get capture groups named or numbered, which become variables you can use inside the block. Powerful, but slower than prefix. Reach for it only when prefix can't express what you need. Now step inside a location block and meet the directive you'll write more than any other: try files. It takes a list of paths, checks each one on disk in order, and falls back to the last argument if nothing matches. 3 patterns cover most of the web: static site with a 404, single-page app falling back to index.html, and WordPress-style routing through index.php with query args preserved. Learn these 3 cold. You'll reach for them constantly. Now let's put it all together in one realistic VOST. 4 locations, 4 jobs, an exact match on Tosh health check for the load balancer, a prefix with the caret tilde modifier on static, so Nginx skips the regex phase entirely, a plain prefix on API that proxies to a backend on port 3000, and the catch-all route using try files for SPA fallback. Each modifier was chosen deliberately based on the precedence rules. Exact wins instantly, caret tilde short-circuits regex, and the bare slash sits at the bottom as the safety net. This pattern shows up everywhere. Memorize the shape. Step back for a moment and ask why Nginx routing feels so plain compared to Express or Django. 3 reasons. 1, it's config, not code, just text, no eval, no execution order surprises. 2, 5 rules, small enough to memorize, so when something misroutes you debug by rereading the rules, not the source. 3, first match wins, no backtracking. Predictable, constant time per rule level. Boring on purpose. That's why it scales to thousands of VOSTs without drama. So here's your cheat sheet. 7 patterns that cover 90% of real-world configs. Exact match for health checks and favicons, prefix with the ~tilde for static folders so regex can't steal them, plain prefix for the API proxy will wire up properly in Lesson 8, regex for PHP and .file blocking, and the SPA fallback at root. Mix and match these 7, and you've configured most sites you'll ever touch. Time to put this on your VM. 3 drills, sequential, building on each other. First, add an exact match health check, and watch what happens when you add a trailing slash. That's the precedence ladder biting you. Second, add a static folder with ~tilde and prove it blocks regex from winning. Third, recreate the full 4-location VOST from slide 7 and document which block handles each request. Do these in order. Lesson 6 picks up exactly where you finish. Before you finish, here are the 5 traps that will eat your afternoon. Trailing/mismatch, .ap and API are different URLs, and Nginx will quietly fall through to the default. Regex order. First match wins, not best, so put specific patterns above general ones. Missing /onProxy.pass duplicates your prefix. Forgotten root or alias inside a location silently inherits the wrong path. Lesson 6 handles that properly. And try files needs a fallback that actually exists on disk. Memorize these. They're the bugs you'll hit in production. And that's Lesson 5. You've got the 3 operators, the 5-rule precedence ladder, try files in your toolkit, and the traps mapped out. Routing isn't magic anymore. It's a deterministic chain you can read off the config. Next up, Lesson 6, root versus alias, MIME types, and serving static files at production speed. See you there.